What's cracking, big dopes? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the HQ. Let me mess around with some of this nonsense. We're talking waiver wire ads for week 12 of the fantasy football season. Week 12, week 11 is almost in the books. We got Monday Night Football time. We got Chiefs. We've got the Chargers. Divisional playoff. What's up, Nicholas? What up, everybody coming in? I hope y'all weeks 11 went better than mine's did. I got my ass whooped by Animal. In the E-Town get down somehow. It's ridiculous. He had a horrible Thursday night game. Thought I had it locked up. My team put up just maximum number of duds. Just 0, 0, 0, 0 good players. All right. Let's talk waiver wires. If y'all are joining us right now, if you're live, make sure that you come in here and you hit that thumbs up button. If you are joining us afterwards, also just hit the thumbs up button. It doesn't matter when you're joining us. Pick 2.5 touchdowns didn't work. If you took the C-Mac, Dalvin Cook, and Zeke one, then yes, it absolutely worked. You took the wrong one, my mans. That's why. Anyone that took that touchdown dance on Monkey Knife Fight, 2.5 touchdowns on C-Mac, Cook, and Zeke. We are doing our best Zeke impression today. Y'all are asking the questions. I'm about to answer them. We're diving into our top Week 12 waiver wire pickups for fantasy football. Let's do it. As always, let's start off with the quarterback position. If you want the entire in-depth breakdown, article write-up, how much fab you should spend on them, whether or not you should use your number one waiver wire on the guys, you can get that over at patreon.com/BDGE. Patreon.com/BDGE will be linked down below as well as in the description. Week 12, teams on a bye. Kansas City, Minnesota, Arizona, and the Chargers. That's a lot of firepower for fantasy football. It's only 4 teams as opposed to this week's. That was 6 teams. But I would argue that there are a lot more fantasy viable players this week than any other bye week because you're getting Mahomes, Hill, Damian Williams, Travis Kelce, the entire Vikings offense, the entire Chargers offense, Arizona. There's just a lot of guys on bye. Thus, you have Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, and Phillip Rivers, all fantasy viable quarterbacks. So we are going to need to stream the position this week for a large number of y'all. I have 3 guys in which I like. We have Baker Mayfield, we have Jacoby Brissett, we have Sam Darnold, all with very, 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 very juicy matchups and playing well over their previous few outings. Baker Mayfield, is Baker Bike? Is Baker Bike? Drop a comment down below. Was it matchups, hitting a little bit of a lucky streak, or is the kid Bike? I think Baker Bike. I think he Bike. He throws for multiple touchdown scores, multiple games in a row. He did not pass for 2 touchdowns in any of the first 9 weeks. Now he does it in back-to-back games. He has 5 touchdowns total, if you include rushing, over the last 2 games. He has 17 or more fantasy points in 3 straight games, and that was against Denver, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, 3 of the toughest defenses in the NFL. That is why I get excited, because now he gets Miami. At home, they're allowing the 7th most fantasy points to the quarterback position. That's only because all teams do is run the ball against them in the second half. So Baker's about to eat. He'll probably be a top 10 guy at the position. Jacoby Brissett, he gets off to a red-hot start. Then he gets hurt, had a couple dud games, and we're like, let's pull back on Brissett a little bit. But we saw just how important he is to that Indianapolis Colts offense on Sunday. He didn't throw much. He only attempted 24 pass attempts, about 158, 160 passing yards. Scored 1 through the air, scored 1 with his legs. That is something that he brings to y'all. But in Week 12, Thursday Night Football against Houston, we just saw what Lamar Jackson did to them. Jacoby Brissett, maybe a little Lamar Jackson light action going on over here. So he's going to have to pass the ball way more in Week 12 than he just did in Week 11. So I think Brissett is absolutely a streamable option in Week 12. Same thing with Sam Darnold. I mean, he went through like a Jameis Winston-ish type stretch where all he did was turn the ball over, and you're like, okay, he's done for the year. We're just going to keep him out of our lineups. Now he puts together back-to-back games, and I know we've been saying he's in a smash spot for like the last fucking 8 weeks in a row, but he is in a smash spot. He gets to go against the Redskins. He just threw for 293 yards and a career-high 4 passing tugs. And it looks like he's back on track a little bit. He's rolling. We're not even getting anything out of Robbie Anderson. And he's still throwing 4 touchdown passes. So back-to-back games of 21 or more fantasy points. He gets Oakland. I don't know why I said Redskins. He gets Oakland on Sunday, week 12. You could stream him. My favorite is Baker, but I would not be pissed if I had either of these 3 guys in the lineup. Everyone I mentioned in today's video is 60% owned or less in Yahoo leagues. Baker is 54% owned. Jacoby, 38% owned, and Sam Darnold, 22% owned. Again, if you want all the positional players, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, Alabama pie, shoulder pie, fingernail pie, greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes. You want all that shit. You want the potatoes and the tomatoes. Patreon.com/BDGE. Let's talk about wide receivers. I can't believe Devontae Parker is still under 60% owned. I feel like he was on this list last week at like 58, and somehow he went even further down the list. It's just simple. He is just a clear wide receiver 1 in this offense, regardless of how talented you think he is. He has gone over 55 receiving yards and or a touchdown in 9 of the 10 games in 2019. So he's giving you a very high floor week in and week out. He just went against Tre'Davious White and went nuts. 135 yards on 7 of 10 targets, making big plays down the field. He is the apple of Ryan Fitzpatrick's eye in the passing game. He has seen 44 targets over the last 5 games. That is almost 9 targets per game. Obviously, Preston Williams is gone, so he is really the only outside option in this passing game. He has established himself as a wide receiver 2 with a nice floor. Rest of season, if you look at the matchups he gets for the remainder of the season, he doesn't have a single bad matchup for the remaining games. Cleveland, Philadelphia, New York Jets, New York Giants, Cincinnati. I was actually thinking about this before. Like, since they play at New York Jets, at New York Giants in weeks 14 and 15, since they both obviously play in beautiful New Jersey in the same stadium, do you think they just spend the 2 weeks down there rather than flying down for the game, flying back to Miami, flying back to the Giants game? Like, I mean, I've flown to Florida plenty of times, so I guess realistically it's only like a 2.5-hour flight. So I don't know why the fuck they would stay in New Jersey when they could stay in Miami. Yeah, never mind. Dumbass thought that just came to my mind. Anyways, Devontae Parker, really like him as a waiver wire pickup. You should probably drop between like 12 and 15 bucks on him if he's still sitting on the wire. I wouldn't even be mad if you went above that and went to like 20 or 25, because at this point he could basically be a staple of fantasy lineup. Deebo Samuel is also very, 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 very intriguing. 54% owned. Now, Emmanuel Sanders cracked his shit up. His ribs is fucked. I talked about this in the video with Dr. Jesse Morse last week. And I fractured 2 ribbies in baseball in high school. Them shits kept me out for a long, long time. Emmanuel Sanders was like, I'm not Nick. I'm way tougher than Nick. No surprise there. I'm about to play like 4 days after I cracked my whole shit up. I did fracture them. I don't really know what happened to his. Either way, he was playing in a lot of pain. He was coming in and off the field. He didn't end up finishing the game because he re-aggravated the ribs. I mean, that was just there was a 0% chance that he was not going to re-aggravate the ribs if he took 1 or 2 hits in the game. And also RIP to anyone who took Arizona plus 9.5. Jesus Christ. That was the worst beat I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, Emmanuel Sanders played on 32 of 73 snaps on Sunday. Deebo Samuel played on 57% or 57 of 73 snaps, which is 78%, 40 of them coming outside, 17 from the slot. He turned in his second consecutive 8-catch game. He went over 100 yards in both games. He now has 21 targets, 16 receptions, 246 receiving yards over the last 2 games. The second-round draft capital is proving to be no fluke here. Gets a tough matchup against Green Bay, but they play at home for the 3rd straight week. And I don't know if you've heard me mention this before, but I love seeing teams that get to play multiple games in a row at home. I think they always hit a stride. I think they always have a little extra mojo when they play back-to-back games. I think this is why we're seeing like Jimmy G go real hard. I think we're going to continue to see Deebo and this offense go hard, even though they have a tougher passing matchup against Green Bay. I love back-to-back games playing at home. It's very comfortable for the team. They get the game plan way more. They don't have a lot of this other nonsense kind of flying around them, having to travel and whatnot, staying outside of their homes, outside of their families. Totally not big facts, but this is just an opinion that I have. Anyways, the Niners, Kyle Shanahan in particular, does a very good job of mixing and matching the offensive formations and making sure that all the playmakers get to move around the field a lot. So even if Sanders misses time, I don't expect Deebo Samuel to see a ton of like J.R. Alexander matched up across from him because he's in the slot half the time. He's moving around as a flanker the other half the time. It's not something I'm really concerned about when we're talking about wide receiver cornerback matchups going forward. A lot of moving parts here, obviously, because George Kittle was out this week. Sanders has been in and out. I think if Sanders even does become active for week 12, I think it'll be very much like what we saw this week, where he's in and out of the lineup. He's playing fewer than 50% of the snaps, possible re-aggravation again. As for George Kittle, I can't really speak on that, but obviously if both of those guys miss more time, Deebo is basically a wide receiver 2. I think if not, he's a high-end wide receiver 3, and that'll vary depending on who is in and out of the lineup. So I'd go pick up Deebo Samuel. He's my second favorite wide receiver. If you want to see the rest of my wide receivers, again, patreon.com/BDGE. There are a few other running backs that are going to be popular this week due to injuries. Obviously, we like Darius Geis. I told y'all to get him last week. That was the week to get him because it's going to be much harder to get him this time around. Now, him and Adrian Peterson split snaps, but Geis was obviously the better fantasy performer, given that he took a 45-yard screen pass to the crib. And I actually played Geis over David Johnson in one of my dynasty leagues, which probably is going to end up winning me that matchup, so I'm pumped about it. But Geis outsnapped Peterson 20-17, 9 carries for AP, 7 carries for Geis. Neither of them did shit on the ground, which is not surprising. I don't imagine we're going to see a lot of success for either guys on the ground going forward. Splitting carries behind Dwayne Haskins, bad offensive line, yada, yada, yada. They do get 4 out of 5 of the next matchups being very good for the run, though. Detroit, Carolina, Green Bay, Philly, New York Giants. So outside of Philly, they have 4+ matchups for the running backs. And I do expect Geis to be the guy on third down and continue to get a lot of the pass catching work in this offense. I believe he had, I think he saw 2 targets, caught the one for 45 yards and a touchdown. So I get really excited when you have a guy that's 225 pounds with that type of explosion that could take any given play to the crib. That's what we saw from Geis. And I think we'll see a few more of those towards the end of the season. So, yes, I would throw 12 to 15 bucks on him. And these other running backs. So, obviously, we have Marlon Mack, fractures his hand. He's going to miss multiple weeks. We have this guy, Jonathan Williams. If y'all might remember Jonathan Williams. He's been like on the all preseason hype team every year that he's somewhat relevant. Drafted by the Bills, was really good that preseason, then was a surprise cut. I believe he was a rookie when he was cut back in 2016. Moves over to the Saints, where he was supposed to fill in for like Mark Ingram when he had his 4-game suspension. He surprisingly gets cut in New Orleans, misses all of 2017, is re-signed for 2018, but barely sees any game action on the Saints. Was eventually cut from there, gets picked up by Indy. I think he broke his finger or some shit earlier on this year, or ribs. I forget what it was. Missed some time. Eventually crawls his way up to the starting line, not starting lineup, but up the depth chart where he gets into the game on Sunday because Jordan Wilkins is out with an ankle injury. Marlon Mack breaks his hand. Jonathan Williams comes in, turns 13 carries into 116 yards. Nyheim Hines was the same guy that Nyheim Hines has been. So when Marlon Mack went out, we saw Williams handle 10 of the carries, and Williams saw 0 targets after Mack left. Nyheim Hines, 3 carries, 1 target. So this is a big game for Williams, and people are going to get excited about it. I am going to say pull the reins back, put the brakes on, calm the fuck down, because Jordan Wilkins left Week 10's game with an ankle injury, missed Week 11. Reports came out this morning that Wilkins will be bike. Wilkins going to be bike. Wilkins going to be fight. They play Thursday night against Houston. A very, 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 very good run D, despite what Baltimore just did to them, because Baltimore does that to everybody. Wilkins is going to be back. So what we have are 2 far less athletic running backs in Jordan Wilkins and Jonathan Williams than Marlon Mack in an offense in which these early down guys don't catch passes. So they are like a poor man's version of Marlon Mack. And right now, I think Marlon Mack has maybe 1, possibly 2 top 12 finishes on the year in terms of his fantasy running back finish. So I'm not excited about either of them. If I had to go one or the other, I would definitely take Jordan Wilkins because he is the clear backup to Marlon Mack as long as he is healthy. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wilkins and Williams split carries. I think Nyheim Hines is going to stay in that hybrid role like they came out and said this morning. He should see a little bit of an increase in workload, but like even if his carries go from 3 to 7, he's not a good runner. It's like James White getting an extra 4 carries. That's going to equate to an extra like 15 yards on the ground probably. And he was already getting the pass catching work. So not really excited about anyone in this Indy offense, to be honest with you. I mean, of course, with Mac missing extended time, maybe you want a piece of this offense. But I talked about it last week how on the trade targets video, trading away Marlon Mack, because this is an offense that, yes, they're playing well as a team, but it's more methodical and it's more like, 20 to 17 games. They're not winning like 33 to 26 where they're getting a lot of scoring. There's not a ton of scoring opportunities for these running backs because you also have Jacoby Brissett, who is running in a few of the goal line carries, right? We saw him run in a 5-yard score this week. So it's just like a lot of moving parts here where I don't feel good. There's a lot of red flags. I don't feel good about any of these running backs. So yeah, you could throw some money down on Hines in a PPR league. You could throw some money down on Wilkins in a standard, maybe half PPR league and see what comes of it. But like Wilkins has had plenty of time to kind of show us what he's made of. And he's had a few big plays. Like people will know Wilkins and they'll be like, oh, he's an explosive playmaker because he's made like 3 or 4 plays over the span of 2 years at this point. But every time that Marlon Mack is out and Wilkins should play well, he really doesn't. Because if you look back at last year, right, Mack missed 4 games. And in the 4 games that Mack missed in 2018, Wilkins averaged just over 10 touches a game. It was 10.2, 36 yards from scrimmage per game, and 3.3 yards per carry. So he wasn't efficient at all. And like I said, he's just a less explosive, less full of burst. He's not as agile as Marlon Mack. So like, I'm not excited about any guy in the Colts backfield, to be honest with you. I'm also not excited about fucking Bo Scarborough. Bo Scarborough is Derrick Henry, but just not good at football. He was never good. He was never good in college. He comes in, he gets signed from the practice squad in Detroit on Saturday. On Saturday, he gets pulled up. I have no idea what's going to fucking happen going forward. If Ty Johnson will probably get 8 carries next week and Bo Scarborough will get 10. But we got to look at it objectively. I'm probably just mad that I blew a bunch of fucking fab on Ty Johnson still. I ain't going to lie to you about that. Bo Scarborough, 14 carries. The most carries by a Detroit running back since Kerryon's 26 carries back in week 4. He turned the 14 carries into 55 yards and a rushing touchdown. He's not a natural pass catcher. He's not going to get pass catching work, especially with J.D. McKissic still in Detroit, getting most of the targets there in the backfield. You also have Jeff Driscoll, just like I was talking about with Jacoby Brissett. Jeff Driscoll is a very big rushing threat. So a lot of the carries in between the 20s, Jeff Driscoll just drops back and fucking runs with it. He's going to score some rushing touchdowns as well. Now, they do get the Redskins in week 12, which is obviously a very, very good matchup. But I don't trust Matt Patricia to do anything normal in this fucking backfield. It took him a year and a half to give Kerryon Johnson a real workload. He's got trust issues. He's got daddy issues when it comes to running backs, and we've seen it with Kerryon Johnson. So what makes you think with Bo Scarborough coming in and getting 14? This is what we saw. Ty Johnson. He came in, got the double-digit carries. The 1 game Kerryon went down. We all got excited about him. As soon as we get excited about Ty Johnson, next game, Trey Carson was going to get double-digit carries. Get excited about Trey Carson? He dies. Bo Scarborough eventually comes in, gets double-digit carries. I have absolutely no fucking faith that Bo Scarborough is going to be the guy in this backfield moving forward. So, again, as much as people are going to get excited about a lot of the running back pickups this week, I am not going to do it. It ain't going to be me blowing fab on him, mainly because I have no fucking fab left to blow because I blew it all on Brian Hill and Ty Johnson. So maybe you should fade me when it comes to waiver wire running backs. I just wouldn't suggest doing it on Bo Scarborough or Jordan Wilkins. I don't know. I guess maybe Bo Scarborough is a good flex play against the Redskins because that's a great matchup, but like, that's all I got left for you. I don't fucking know. And as I will continue to say, handcuff season is in full effect. It's been in full effect. If you own Zeke, grab Tony Pollard. If you own Dalvin Cook, grab Alexander Madison. If you own Leonard Fournette, grab Raquel Armstead. If you own Christian McCaffrey, grab Reggie B. If you own, that's such a great R&B name, Reggie B, the R&B fucking aficionado. If you own Mark Ingram, I would grab Gus Edwards. Tight ends, there's actually a lot of good streaming options on the wire this week that are unowned in all 4 of these guys, owned in 30% or fewer, owned in less than 30% of Yahoo leagues. Jacob Hollister, Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Ryan Griffin. All fantastic tight end pickups, all fantastic streamers. If I had to choose one, I love Jacob Hollister. I think Jacob Hollister is going to continue to put up Will Dissly type numbers and can really be like a top 6 tight end rest of way. Noah Fant has been very, very, very very involved since Emmanuel Sanders went down. 7.7 targets, 4 receptions, 67 yards a game, and that 175-yard touchdown back in week 9. So Fant's going to continue to be very involved in this offense. It seems like Brandon Allen is an upgrade for all parties involved in that Denver passing offense. Dallas Goedert has been running on like 80% of the snaps, running tons of routes, extremely involved. We'll see how involved he really is when Alshon Jeffrey returns, but they're lacking weapons on offense, so it's really going to be the Ertz and Goddard show going forward, and he continues to score touchdowns and be the guy involved down there in the red zone. So like Dallas Goedert, and then Ryan Griffin, tight end 1 week, well, barring Travis Kelce, Hunter Henry tonight. But, I mean, the next 3 matchups, Oakland, Cincinnati, Miami. Ryan Griffin is running as many routes as any tight end in the NFL, coming off this career-high 109 yards. The dude's played in 69 games in his career thus far. That was a career-high, 5 catches and a tug. Darnold clearly likes this dude. So the matchups are there. The usage is there. The volume is there. They don't have an end zone threat outside of Ryan Griffin either. When you look at, I mean, Robbie Anderson has been terrible. Jamison Crowder's a smaller guy. His touchdowns are coming from like 30 yards out. Like, who else do they have? Demaryius Thomas is like fucking a poor man's Demaryius Thomas at this point, if that makes sense. All he does is fucking drop passes. Anyways, yeah, Ryan Griffin, another good pickup. So I would throw $5 down on any of these guys. For Jacob Hollister, I would legit throw somewhere between $10 and $15. You just missed the bye week, and now it's fucking full go for Jacob Hollister. Rest of season, let's get it. Cleveland Browns are my top streaming defensive option of the week. -11 at home versus the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, they will be without Myles Helmet Garrett for the foreseeable future, so that hurts their pass rush a little bit. Maybe it's a few less sacks they got on the game. Still like the offense, still like the defense. It just seems like a dominant game is about to come out of the Browns side, and not good for Miami. If you want all the defensive streaming options, again, patreon.com/BDGE. If you enjoyed the video, the live stream, thank you all for joining me for the live stream, by the way. We are quickly wrapping up this season's fantasy football season, if that makes sense. So that is all I got for y'all today. Let me jump in the some of the questions and whatnot. All right. None of y'all got good fucking questions. I'm just kidding. I'm too fucking lazy to do it. I'm going to see a movie tonight called The Lighthouse. Any of y'all seen it? It's only playing in very select few theaters. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If they're just doing test runs out there, and they're going to make schmucks like me go see it and tell them whether or not it's good. I got a dynasty trade headed my way. Thank you, Johnny B. Anyone guess the number of wine bottles in Snacks' corner? Yes, we did have someone get that correct. We had someone get that correct, and we will announce it when we film Fade the Public tomorrow night. But like I said on I think it was a Saturday live stream, y'all were undershooting the shit out of the wine bottles. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Oh, Nick, I love that shit. Love to hear it. I'll let you know what I think once I watch it. I just got offered Jacoby Brissett and a 2021 second for a 2021 first. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and not take that. It's a 1-quarterback league, and I already have I have Foles, Tannehill, Stafford, Andrew Luck, Ryan Finley. Wow, it's not that good, but whatever. In terms of, Davin said, best underrated playoff defenses, 15 and 16. So the video tomorrow that me and Noah, FB God, are going to put out, since most people's trade deadlines are done, tomorrow's video is going to be looking forward to streamers, the top streamers, like playoff streamers for the rest of the season. So we're going to break down quarterbacks, tight ends, and defenses. So guys that you could probably start stashing now if you want to play matchups going forward. Jow Fields. All right. That's all I got for y'all today. for the fucking third time I've done said that shit. Juju is droppable, yes. Can't believe I'm fucking saying that. But yes, he is. If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll see y'all on Wednesday's top streaming options video. And yeah, Boyd is probably droppable unless they bench their quarterback and have Dalton come back in. No, don't drop T.Y. Hilton.